construction home supply store chain in here. I won't name which one. I'm sure you can figure out one of the two. She's the HR manager there and has to watch these safety videos every month addressing kind of issues for the store to address. And this month's video, there was a guy in it, and he's voicing over the thing, and he says, if you see someone purchasing unusual amounts of some materials, such as a bag of fertilizer, propane, acids, pipes, pipe caps, and timers, contact the manager immediately. In the video, it's portraying a large black man with tattoos purchasing these products. And a week before she told me this, in our local newspaper, they published this article about supposedly harmless bomb control operations here in our small town, where they did it on a second floor of a shuttered warehouse, and they had a robot in there with a pipe bomb sitting on top of a beam, 20 bomb tech officers doing different scenarios of, it's called ALICE training, alert, lockdown, inform, counter,
and really what it is federalization training. They sell them on this narrative, then the narrative becomes gun owners, and people like that, and it's all about creating this illusion that there's really all these bombs going off.
Yeah, exactly, and it just, I saw the two stories kind of correlate together, and I saw through the illusion that, you know, these bomb controls are really for us, that we're going to go to Home Depot, make fertilizer bombs when we get fed up and we've had enough, and they're ready for it, and they're letting them know at Home Depot already.
No, that's it. They're not only going to provocateur events. They know as the banks take everything and destroy the country, some people will actually resist. And so they built the Homeland Security thing for the Muslims and Arabs, but it was always designed for everybody. And now they're changing the narrative over to the American people are terrorists, and anybody that protests is a looter. And they're selling that idea worldwide. It's all social engineering laid out. Great points, Chris. James in California, you're on the air.
Hey, how you doing, Alex?
Good, James. Welcome.
First of all, man, I just want to congratulate you, man, on being a spearhead in this war against this government, man. Because, you know, if don't nobody know what's going on, man, believe me, we do, man. And we appreciate it, man. I hear the frustration in your voice sometimes, man, when I hear you talk about how the blacks seem like we really not paying attention. But trust me, Alex, we listening, man.
Well, it's not only some black folks that aren't paying attention. It's everybody. You know, it's either folks are awake or they're not awake. But you're saying folks are starting to wake up?
Right, man. I'm a former gang member, man. I was born and raised in Compton, California, man. So, you know, if don't nobody know about the corruption, believe me, we do. You know, we know. We've been through it. So we know. So don't think all blacks are just stuck on Obama, man, because everybody getting out of that Obama distraction, man. You know, we know. We know that, man, Alex, man, it's great to talk to you, man. You know?
It's great to talk to you. It's the same thing with white folks think Rick Perry's going to save them, and they're all going to get mad at me when I don't like him. Again, these people are all puppets. Well, John, keep spreading the word, or James, keep spreading the word out there in California. God bless you. Call back again. I'm moving quick here. John in California, Justin, Michael, you're coming up next. But first, for about 10 minutes, we've got a great activist on who really caused a stir in New York. Stay with us. Coming up, the Prime Minister of England suggests purple rain for rioters. Spring dye on them so they can be targeted later. That was pioneered by apartheid South Africa. UK riots, government moles, kill switch for Twitter and Facebook, army on the streets. So Twitter refused to shut down the accounts of people actually calling for crimes and violence individually. So now you see everybody gets to have their basic rights taken for no reason. That's why they let terrorists attack us. That's why they finance terrorists to attack us. That's why corporations stage terror attacks. Government has been caught over and over again doing it. And then you're looked at like you're crazy or you're somehow bad if you point out that government stands to gain from terror as a pretext to take our liberties. Also, feds send terrorist handout to military surplus stores. Kurt Nemo's got an article on that. We'll tell you more about what that means. That's right. They're saying that you're basically a terrorist if you go to the Army surplus store. Amazon disarms Brits by banning self-defense items like baseball bats because record sales of baseball bats were made in England, predominantly over Amazon, with people seeking to defend themselves. That's just some of the news as well. Also, the videos are being released from Chicago and Milwaukee and other areas, and they are showing that many of these are racial attacks that are happening. And people are so politically correct that you're not supposed to talk about the fact that there is some uptick in black-on-white violence. We need to ask, why is that happening? We need to point out that that's wrong, just like when white gangs from time to time have attacked groups of black people. It needs to be decried, just like the mayor of Philadelphia said, who is black. He came out and said it was wrong. But if you won't criticize it, and if the police won't do anything about it, it will get out of control. I'll guarantee you can go find white gangs in America that if they were allowed to go out and beat up black people, they would go out and do it. See, if it's seen as okay to attack a certain group, it's done. That's why for decades, gays have been, quote, rolled. All over the country, folks will go to areas where gays congregate and beat them and rob them because, well, they're gay, so they deserve to be attacked. And that's why they call for hate crime laws. Well, no, if you just enforce the law that assaulting anyone is a serious crime if it's not in self-defense, you don't need a thought crime law. But see, under political correctness, if you attack a, quote, protected group, then they throw the book at you. But if it's blacks attacking whites, then nothing's done, and it's being green-lighted. And so now that's being confirmed. I want to get into that a little bit more later. Also, continuing with some of the news here, we've got incredible financial news coming out. Trade deficit soars to highest since 2008. Jobless, 395,000 last week, updated to 420,000. It is absolutely incredible what's happening right now, and it's all at Infowars.com, PrisonPlanet.com, and also DrudgeReport.com. Now, I wanted to spend a segment or two with our next guest, and we've got his video posted at Infowars.com if you're a radio listener. We're going to play some of it here in a moment for audio listeners to hear it, but also for viewers at PrisonPlanet.tv to see it. Danny Penzella is an example of someone actually targeting the real criminals, not going and burning down a warehouse or a furniture store, not carjacking someone, but actually going and peacefully protesting the private Federal Reserve parasite in New York City. And that's why it's come out now that the Pentagon, Homeland Security, is watching and tracking anyone that criticizes the Federal Reserve as a chilling effect, and deploying police and even military in some cases at in-the-Fed peaceful rallies. This goes back 3 years. We cover it in my film, The Obama Deception. Danny, a few days before he went down there, called for a protest at the New York Fed. Now, because he's an activist who has a small site, it didn't get a big response. He was the only person, an army of one, who showed up with his child in the baby stroller. And he walked up, and they had police every 5 feet. You can watch the video at Infowars.com in the 9/11 section, in the banking section. In fact, I forget what section it's in. Here's the headline if you want to find it. Police surround New York Federal Reserve after in the Fed flash mob. Facebook post, Danny Penzella, Truth Squad TV. So that's how you can find it right there. Now, this is an example of how all over the United States, L.A. riots, Katrina, examples decades ago or just 5 years ago, you will see the police not show up, the military not show up. When it's a big political event, they're ordered to stand down. Now, if you're being mugged at your house, cops a lot of times show up really quick. Sometimes they can't. That's why you need a Second Amendment to defend yourself. But the issue here is that when it's the Federal Reserve, the real criminal, fraudster, hijacker, owners of America, they do show up. And it's an incredible image of the giant Federal Reserve building in New York, built like a fortress with giant bars on the windows, had police every 5 feet all the way around it. And Danny comes up and says, "Why are you here?" And they say, "Oh, there was going to be a flash mob, but nobody showed up. And then Danny laughs and goes ahead and hands out his flyers. So the issue is, this is the real establishment. This is who needs to be identified. Not their puppet Obama, not their puppet Mitt Romney, their puppet George W. Bush, James Cameron, Merkel, Barroso, Rumpi. We need to talk about the real criminals, the people that have engineered this global collapse to re-engineer society. Danny, I've got to salute what you did, because it turned into a big deal online. Hundreds of thousands have seen it, watched it. You failed in getting anybody to show up, but you succeeded by stepping up to the plate, and so you won. Resistance is victory. And you illustrated how scared to death they are of peaceful people simply protesting the real power. And it shows it is the real power that if you're going to protest or going to burn somebody's shop, cops don't show up. But if you go to peacefully protest the real criminals, they do.
Absolutely. Thanks, Alex. That was a great introduction. Yeah, I mean, I think it's interesting that the police, when I got there, I walked right up to them. I shook their hands. I introduced myself. I said, I'm the flash mob you guys are waiting for. And they laughed it off because they thought I was trying to get rid of them so that the real mob could show up. They just were expecting some kind of violent mob. And I even said to them, I said, this is a fortress here. Why would you even be worried about it? I said, all this police response to Facebook posts is it's silly.
Well, you notice that building was built, in the 20s? It is a fortress, and all their buildings have moats around them or giant walls. The one in Dallas has parapets around it. I mean, they've been getting ready for what they've set up for a long time. That's why they're armored fortresses.
Absolutely, absolutely. And, I think that the big issue here, for me, being a New Yorker, obviously the Fed and the Federal Reserve System is a big issue for the whole country, but the fact that they're using the NYPD, they have their own Federal Reserve Police, but now they're using the NYPD. And it's funny that either a lieutenant or captain had said to me, some people, they want to get their money's worth. So I'm curious who exactly he meant by that. Was that the Federal Reserve looking to get their money's worth? Was that the federal government, who we know gives grants to the NYPD to implement their policies? The NYPD has hired RAND Corporation to develop policies for them. So I'm curious exactly who he meant. I mean, I guess it's all the same in the end.
Well, we know crime has exploded in New York and other areas, and I see reports all the time about women raped, mugged in broad daylight, in even nice areas. The police won't come. The police should be in Central Park dealing with crime, but you notice they're always there getting in the face of peaceful political demonstrations. And this really illustrates these are the owners of America, and that's why they were there.
Yeah, absolutely. It's really it's disgraceful. And, the Daily News reported yesterday that, I don't know if you saw this yet, that the NYPD has unveiled its social networking task force, where they're going to be monitoring social networking as well. So here we have, I was able to break this story about a month early before the police admitted it, that they're actually, and we know that this is under federal directive.
Well, absolutely. I did see the report, but really what's happening here, illustrated by Twitter, refusing to shut down accounts that were saying, let's meet and burn this down, let's meet and rob these people. Clearly criminal activity. The police have a direct line to the IP address, where to go arrest them, doing nothing. The police say, oh, we stood down for 4 days, but will you shut these people down? Twitter says no, so David Cameron comes out today and says we want a total kill switch now over Twitter, just like Egypt used. And so now they'll selectively do it. When it's their political mob that Al Gore called for in Arab Spring, they'll be left alone. But when it's us using it peacefully, we'll be shut down.
Yeah, absolutely. And what does this do? This really has a chilling effect on free speech and freedom of assembly. There might be people that will see these types of things. And that's why I really wanted to illustrate in my video that if you just go and you form a rapport with the police and you kind of just show them that you're not a threat, you're no physical threat, you're just there to educate people, then that will counteract what the system is trying to do. Because I don't want people to be intimidated by the fact that, they're doing this and then not show up to a protest.
Well, that's right. They're trying to sell the idea that protesting is burning, looting, and killing, and that's why they stood down in London, stood down in Seattle when their hired thugs got the party started. I want to come back and talk to you about picking today, tomorrow, whenever's good for you. I'm ready to try to help you.